Hey everybody, and welcome to the Modern Music Arranger. My name is Jesse Adello. In this video, I'm going to continue a series on horn arranging by talking about arranging for 4 horns. Specifically, we'll go over how to assign notes from 3-part and 4-part harmonies to each instrument. The instruments that we're going to use for this section are the trumpet, tenor sax, trombone, and Bari Sax. Now, this is a pretty common horn section for pop and funk, but we'll talk about concepts that could work for any combination of instrumentation in whatever genre you're writing for. Before we get into it, a quick disclaimer: this video assumes that you can already read in both treble clef and bass clef, and that you already have an understanding of how to harmonize melodies over a chord progression. Now, if you need help with that and are interested in a video that covers that particular subject, please let me know, leave a comment down below, and it could be the next video that you see on this channel. And with that, let's get into it. So we're going to start with the melody that I wrote in Logic. It's just a 4-bar loop that is in a lo-fi style, and it uses 2 chords, D minor 7 and C major 7. And this is what it sounds like. I wrote the melody into the keyboard part. Here we go. Before I start harmonizing, I wanted to show you guys what it might sound like if I played it unison with all the instruments going, okay? So here's the same melody. The melody is going to be in the trumpet, but all the other instruments are also playing the same notes, and they're playing an octave below the trumpet in the appropriate range. So here we go. So the first thing that we're going to do in harmonizing is we're going to go and do 3-part harmonies. So three note harmonies spread over 4 voices. Now, when you're doing that, inevitably you're going to have to repeat at least one of those notes. Okay. So in this case, I decided to repeat the trumpet and the Bari Sax. Obviously, the trumpet's going to stay the same in all these examples, but the Bari Sax is going to double the trumpet at the octave, and we're going to use block chord voicings, okay? So I'm going to write my harmonies based on the extensions of D minor 7. So the first note is an E. Below that is going to be a C and an A. I'm using an A minor triad over D minor 7, and so on and so forth, okay? So here's what that sounds like. The melody sounds really nice. It's really tight. But even in a higher register for the tenor sax and the trombone, I think that the density of that melody actually helps it to ring out pretty nicely. Okay. Since we wrote that first one in block chord voicing or closed voicing, we're going to open that voicing up, and we're going to take the second note down, and we're going to move it down an octave and then shift around the instrument notes. This is an open voicing, and sometimes you're going to need to do that if parts are really high, if the melody is really high in the trumpet, for example, and you need to get the other instruments into a better range. But this particular one yields kind of an interesting result. So let's hear what it sounds like. So that's not the result that I would normally go with. And the reason I say that is because you'll notice that the Bari Sax is playing the 7th of the C major 7 chord. And having the 7th that low, it just sounds kind of muddy with the bass. So I wouldn't actually voice it like that. Essentially, it gets a little bit too low. So what would happen if we switched around the tenor sax and trombone parts? Generally, the tenor saxophone sounds a little softer in its high range, and the trombone is going to sound louder. It's going to have to play louder to play in the high range, but it's not outside of the range. It could be a particular sound that you're going for. So we're going to do that same triad voicing, the same open triad voicing, but this time we're going to switch around the tenor saxophone and the trombone and see what that might sound like. Let's give it a go. To me, it still sounds a little bit too spread out. I think the tenor sax is too low at the end, and you get too much reediness down at the bottom. And I know it's MIDI, but I can still hear that happening. So I'm not really going to mess with that. Also, you'll notice that I started kind of just letting the trumpet take the melody. So I'm not harmonizing those pickup notes. That's just a preference of mine. I really do like to have variation between unisons and harmonized sections. But you can obviously harmonize the entire thing. Just know that it's going to sound kind of busy if you harmonize an entire song. So I like to use combinations of unisons and harmonies for variety, to give a little bit more variety to my arrangements. We're going to jump into seventh chords, but written with only 3 notes. You can still get the sound of seventh chords with only 3 notes, okay? So again, I doubled the melody in the trumpet and the Bari Sax, and the tenor sax and the trombone are playing other notes that emphasize the 7th chords, okay? So this is what that might sound like. I really like the sound of the 9th on the C major 7. So I added that in there. I actually like the sound of this. This is kind of the harmonies, the tight harmonies down on the bottom actually sound kind of nice, and they're in a high enough range that they don't sound muddy. This kind of writing you might see from a lot of Horace Silver compositions in jazz. So experiment with it. I really dig this sound, and it could be something that you're going for too. Okay, so now we're going to jump into full-blown 7th chords, and we're going to start with closed position 7th chords. So this is what it would sound like if we assign a different note to each of the instruments. Starting with the Bari Sax. The Bari Sax is going to play an F, the 3rd of the chord, and then the trombone is going to play the 5th. The tenor sax is going to play the 7th, and finally the trumpet is going to start with the 9th on the downbeat. Okay, so here's what that might sound like. Also, I added the pickup to the other instruments. I wasn't adding it before, and now I'm just adding it to add a little extra color and a little bit more weight to that pickup. So here's what it sounds like, closed position 7th chords. So something interesting happens when you assign a note to each of the different instruments, a different note to each instrument. You actually can't hear the melody quite as well. It's not really emphasized. Now, in this particular example, I had the trumpet a little bit louder so that you can hear it, right? And if you are recording or in a recording session, a recording context, you can obviously crank the volume on the lead instrument. But in a live context, it's going to be just a little bit harder to hear that instrument on top or whatever is playing the melody note, just because there's so much sonic information and harmonic information going on at that point. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Now we're going to get to the last example, and I'm going to play the same melody, harmonized the same way, but now we're going to open it up and do an open voicing, okay? This one is actually my favorite one. And I also did a little bit of editing to the Bari Sax part. One of the notes is not quite within D minor 7. It's a G sus chord. So it does fit, but it's just an arranging choice that I made. Okay, so here's what this example sounds like: 7th chords in open voicing. The reason I like that one so much is because, for one, the Bari Sax gets a little bit more root movement, and so that just emphasizes the chords a little bit more. Also, the openness of that chord allows for a little bit more resonance in the inner voices, so the inner voices can kind of fill in the harmonic space without it being too dense, right? It's just a more bright and open and full sound compared to a closed and more dense sound in the closed voicings. So I did want to mention one thing before I wrap up with logic. On the last 7th chord voicing, I took the 2nd note from the top and dropped it down an octave to open up the voicing. That's known as a drop 2 voicing. I mentioned it in another video, but I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew what that was, and you're going to see it talked about as a drop 2 voicing. So here's a recap of all the examples that we've played. Okay, so let's recap. First thing, I took a melody over chord progression. Next, I harmonized the other instruments in triads or sevenths on a piano staff, and then I assigned the notes to each instrument based on their ranges and musical context. And finally, I tested it out. Trial and error is part of the learning process. If you're worried about how something will sound in studio, have another version ready to go. It never hurts to be more prepared. All right, guys, so if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel, hit the thumbs up icon and bell icon to get notified about more upcoming horn arranging videos. If you have any questions or shout outs, leave them in the comments below. And that's it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.